You can see he is 6'5" and only 223 pounds, or 235 pounds. Well, you said 6'4", 200. Well, anyway, that's what anyway.
Check out this image. The table's succinct display and concise definitions list 4 types of conversations in a 2x2 table format. The debate is listed as a two-way competitive conversation, purpose to win or convince. Prior to the June 27, 2024 debate, debates.org lists only 16 years that held presidential debates in the United States. This will be the 60th consecutive presidential election and 58th competitive presidential election in the United States. Out of 60 election years, only 17 of them have seen presidential debates. That's 17 out of 60, or 28.3%. The Associated Press reports that both candidates and their respective parties considered skipping debates for the first time since 1972, before bypassing the Commission on Presidential Debates for the first time since 1988. In spite of all this, Thursday's presidential debate went forward. That is a huge positive. Unfortunately, that may be the only positive about Thursday's debate. President Trump deflected question after question and tallied up at least 30 separate lies, according to the CNN fact check. Biden tallied up at least 9 of his own lies and fumbled over his words while doing his best impression of that sloth from Zootopia. Both candidates were struggling to keep my attention when this happened.
That I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, you have to be quite smart and you have to be able to hit the ball a long way. And I do it. He doesn't do it. He can't hit a ball 50 yards. He challenged me to a golf match. He can't hit a ball 50 yards.
Thank you. President Biden?
Look, I'd be happy to have a driving contest with him. The reason I got my handicap, which when I was vice president, down to a 6. But by the way, I told you before, I'm happy to play golf if you carry your own bag. Think you can do it?
What's the biggest round? He's a 6 handicap of all.
I was an 8 handicap.
Yeah.
8. But I have, you know how many?
I've seen you swing. I know you swing.
Okay, let's
not act like children.
President Trump, we're going to
21
turn
Let's not act like children.
You
to
are
a
a child.
specific.
Since playing golf is not a requirement for the office of the presidency, I decided I had heard enough, let a few expletives fly, and turned off the debate. After moping around my apartment for a few days, I ran across this opinion piece from the New York Times. And I agree, President Biden should be replaced as a candidate. For whatever reason, neither President Biden, nor anyone in his party, nor I, have adamantly protested his candidacy until now. It is like we are all dozing off on guard duty or falling asleep at the wheel. We may too be like that sloth from Zootopia, a little too comfortable with a monthly paycheck and a cozy job at the licensing office. But that New York Times article seemed to stop short of asking the following question. Who is best qualified to replace President Biden? The media are name-dropping people like Vice President Harris, California Governor Gavin Newsom, and even Maryland Governor Wes Moore. But Vice President Harris is polling lower than President Biden. Both she and Governor Newsom may be too polarizing for an already polarized nation. And while Governor Moore appears to have charisma, he may be better suited to meet the nation's needs if he makes a run for office in 4 or 8 years. I want to entertain the idea of a different candidate for the President of the United States. It may be foolish and ridiculous to do so. After all, party delegates decide who runs for office, and the Electoral College decides who fills that office. But this is a democracy. Democracies are supposed to foster discussion and debate, are they not? My proposal is that retired 4-star Admiral William McRaven be nominated as the Democratic Party's candidate for President of the United States. The retired Admiral may not desire to take on such a consequential role in these tumultuous times. But good leaders are often called to leadership positions, whether or not they aspire to fill them. Egos of reluctant leaders may be better prepared to meet the political demand for equanimity. Admiral McRaven's potential reluctance cannot qualify him to replace President Biden as the Democratic Party's nominee for President of the United States. His track record of excellence, service, leadership, and integrity must do that. As a soldier, Navy SEAL, team leader, husband, father, admiral, strategist, and author, McRaven's resume is detailed in the opinions of his friends, family, and coworkers. Anyone can search pages of the internet or his books for the details. Having served admirably in the military for 37 years, in senior leadership positions under the Bush and Obama administrations, and in leadership positions in the private sector, Admiral McRaven has extensive experience addressing complex problems in stressful situations. Most importantly, he does not appear to be a man who desires to offload risks onto others. People who lead by example tend to accept responsibility for their actions and their people. McRaven does that. If another candidate is to be selected, the President of the United States must lead his party to nominate a replacement. This could be the crowning achievement of President Biden's political career. He is a man who has lost a spouse, a daughter, a son, in multiple elections. He has been beaten and battered by politics throughout his career. His stubborn commitment to democratic values has only grown throughout his career. Now he is faced with yet another grueling predicament: continue his exhausting run for office or nominate his potential successor. The true test of power is one's will to give it up. Biden bolstered the Obama administration when he somewhat reluctantly accepted the nomination as the vice presidential candidate in 2007. Biden may have saved the country from further degradation when he won the presidency in 2020. In spite of a pandemic, debt-ridden economy, and war-torn Eastern Europe and Near East, Biden has humbly executed the duties of the office of the presidency since January of 2020. But however unfair his life has been, from a childhood stutter to the early passing of his closest family members, to criticisms of a mostly ungrateful nation, his legacy may be largely defined by what he does now. In a cruel game of opposites, life has once again presented him with a reluctant choice: tarry on or select a potential successor. Ironically, the latter may be more typical of the president's laid-back, resilient, patriotic, and characteristically stubborn willingness to set aside his ego for the sake of his country. Whatever the president decides, the nation is at yet another crossroads. Whether or not it is true, catastrophes feel closer these days. One is prudent to remember the constant presence of uncertainty, and wise not to forget that the true test of power is one's will to give it up. Tao Te Ching, verse 78. Nothing in the world is as soft and yielding as water. Yet for dissolving the hard and inflexible, nothing can surpass it. The soft overcomes the hard, the gentle overcomes the rigid. Everyone knows this is true, but few can put it into practice. Therefore, the master remains serene in the midst of sorrow. Evil cannot enter his heart. Because he has given up helping, he is people's greatest help. True words seem paradoxical.